to have condensed milk because the fresh milk would have gone off, and so we had to have tin milk, didn't we? Yeah.
I'd forgotten that, yeah.
And I've never had tin milk since.
And you were telling me about an interesting story that after it appeared at Earl's Court, you had loads of postal correspondence from all over the world.
Oh yes, we had nuns from India and people from Africa begging for a free car to help us go around their villages. No.
And what happened to all the correspondence?
In the
Thrown
bin.
in.
Yes. No. We sent motorcycle fairings all over the world, and lots of these riders couldn't speak English, so I would get a postcard with a drawing of whichever one they wanted, with wings put on, so I would know that I had to fly a replacement windscreen to their nearest airport. It was quite good fun, wasn't it? But there were lots of things that Peel Engineering made that hasn't been mentioned. The Renault cars we made, didn't we? Do you remember those packages at the bottom of Renault?
The door,
Yes.
yeah, the door pockets and things like that they made.
They
yeah,
haven't been mentioned in the paper. And then Henry had some wild idea of football badges of every football club in the British Isles. He got a pattern, didn't he, from every...
Don't remember that one.
Oh, I do, and I thought it was the craziest idea. And he had these plastic badges going to flood the British market. Anyway, that didn't take off.
And can you remember when you left to get married to Dad, they offered you a car or a boat?
Yes.
And what did Dad say?
Take the boat, it'd be more useful. But then, knowing son Paul and his friends, a car would have been wrecked in 5 minutes. So,
But the boat, we've still got the boat.
still
down
got the
farm.
boat and it's still working. Yeah. So the boats were good, weren't they?
Both were good. Yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
And you told me that they had a bit of a racket going with the boats.
Yeah, well, with the purchase tax at that time and the boats, you couldn't hire them to people
Was it
for a
insurance?
day, so you sold them
And brought them back.
and then the next day you bought it back again, so you didn't have to pay purchase tax.
I can't imagine Sid will be up to that.
Well, it wasn't me. I only had to do the paperwork. No, nothing underhand with me. We paid all our taxes and everything. And we had a great time at Blackpool, didn't we? Did you go to
No,
Blackpool?
I didn't go to Blackpool.
Oh,
No.
well, we went to Blackpool to a motor show there,
That's when you put it up the tower.
up the tower, yes. But none of those photographs survived for some reason.
Yeah.
No.
That's all photos.
And then the Trident car was in the motorcycle magazine with a cartoon, wasn't it? Yes. The original man who did the cartoon for motorcycle sent me the original copy, and it's now up in the museum in Ramsey, Derby, isn't it?
Yeah, we've lent it.
Yeah. Can't think of anything else.
So did you like driving the car? Did you find it fun? Or did you hate it?
I didn't even have a license.
Really?
It was only after I got married that I got a license, and passed
Didn't fall
first
appeal.
time. Not like the men in the family.
The photo of you sat on top of the prototype, did you climb up there yourself or did
Oh,
you
yes.
get lifted up?
I was very agile in those days. I played tennis a lot. Yeah, I could
Mum was the
move.
mixed doubles island champion, so tennis was her first love. And
Yeah.
you were born in Peel, weren't you?
Yeah, so
And that's, in
nowhere
fact,
like Peel. Even now, Peel is the best place on the island.
It is.
Second is Colby.
And you were a neighbour of Cyril's, weren't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
Cyril lived further down the road. Myrick Villas with his mother.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, he was a bit of a genius, but like all geniuses,
He was a bit
odd.
Yeah.
But then that's what clever people are, aren't they? Clever,
Yeah.
very clever people always are a bit different from
Yeah,
all of
I
us.
only really got to know him when he was on his last legs, more or less, you know. And,
But you had an incentive plan for the girls that were doing the fiberglass,
Oh
and that
yes,
went a bit
he
wrong,
decided
didn't
that he would put them on. What would you call
it? Like
it?
an incentive scheme.
Piecework.
Yes,
Yeah.
piecework.
did, the more they
The
get.
more, yes. But it didn't work out like Cyril thought, because they worked so hard, but they weren't doing it properly, were they? And the first 2 weeks, they were earning hundreds of pounds on the piecework, so he had to cut that out because every other one failed sort of the test.
And you were describing to me about the actual mould, how they made the mould.
Yeah, the molds were made of wood, and they were all
They
very
invented
clever,
that
weren't
They
they?
themselves.
were, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there was Dick Cowley.
Dick.
Dick was he was another sort of
Odd,
clever.
odd-
He,
odd fellow
he was
too.
odd, but he was very clever, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
And,
I think he picked his people right, you know.
mm,
I think there was lots came and went,
yes,
but the ones that stayed,
yes,
you know, I think.
yeah, we sort of put up with them.
Can I ask you, did you have a test driver for these little cars? Who was the test driver? Was it just Cyril or?
Test driver was
But-
George Gillen, really.
George,
definitely.
yes, George Gellin
He
was
did
there.
most of that,
He was
yeah.
a clever engineer.
And what sort of test did you put it through?
It was usually a run from here out to the breakwater and back, and if it made it, that was it.
You didn't have any rough circuit or anything
Yeah,
to try
no,
it round
no.
on?
Well, there was
Over some
Cobble
cobbles or-
Street out there
Oh,
then
right.
and days.
Yes.
Yeah, and what bits broke to start with?
Nothing.
Nothing broke. No, the engines were the biggest failure. That was the problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that because people were putting straight petrol in?
That was a lot of the problem with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is it that you got onto DKW? Why not BSA or something like
There's
that?
only ones you could get to supply, I think, at
Yes.
the time. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
that was they were behind the Iron Curtain in them days, so it wasn't easy getting them, and it wasn't easy getting parts for them. You know, but
Can you remember how much they used to pay for the little engines then, going back into 62?
no idea.
About £1 or something? And who were your main suppliers then? You know, for components, like your wheels and... Where did you
Well,
know
the
they all
wheels were
came
Lockhart wheels at the time. you know,
Right.
So they were Avon, I think it was.
It was Avon Tires.
How many people were employed at the peak, would you say were employed?
Well, it said in the paper over,
50.
but it wasn't.
I've never seen
I've
that.
never
Christ, you wouldn't move, would you? I don't know. I would have thought 20 would have been at the most.
Well, even 20 I thought was pushing it a bit. But we knew them all, but they were all locals, weren't they?
They were all
And there was I've always remembered a lovely man from Douglas, Wedgwood Prynne. Do you remember Wedge?
Wedgie Prynne, yeah.
And I thought, what a lovely name. You know, when he was a child, suddenly called Wedgwood Prynne. It was a really lovely name, and he was a lovely man. And he
Don't know
didn't get
don't know
on.
what his position was, really.
He was just general sort of dog's body, wasn't he? But Cyril didn't take to him somehow, did he? No.
So you were doing the wages, were you? And the
Yeah.
bookkeeping.
The accounts.
And you met met all the famous motorbike riders that
Yes.
came over for the fairings.
Yeah.
So
Jeff Duke,
There was all the top men
all the
in them
top,
days.
yes.
Yeah.
Mike Halewood.
Like
I can
Hillary.
remember Mike Halewood walking round the works with a Viking helmet. Didn't we make Viking
Oh,
helmets?
yeah.
And he was thrilled to have a Viking helmet. Yes. That was disaster when he was killed or something.
Jeff Duke spent a lot of time down here, didn't
Yes,
he?
yeah.
He helped develop some of the fairs and
Well, yes,
things, you know, he did.
yeah. Well, he did sort of testing in the wind tunnels in England on the fairings. That wasn't sort of just done locally.
And what was average wage for a worker? Would you say that you were doing wage subs?
Well, I
It
think
went on to much in the
mine
60s.
those that time was about £14.
That was quite good, wasn't it?
Obviously didn't think so.
Well, if you worked in a garage in the UK, you were on about £7 a week in 1960. That was classed as quite a good wage.
Oh,
So
well,
you were paying double what you got if you worked on an Austin Morris or something.
I'm sure my husband didn't marry me for my money.
Was there a story about a TT rider who bought a fairing and he said he just wanted to ride the bike down the road to check the fairing and he disappeared and
Yes,
never
he
paid?
never came back to pay. We got him on the boat though, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't recall that one.
And Phil Reed. Is Phil Reed still alive?
Yes, I think he is.
Oh well, I won't say anything more.
he didn't he still knows, does he?
No, they were all. Bob McIntyre. We were upset about him, weren't we?
And
There
these,
were lots of lovely riders.
and these top riders, did they want these fairings provided for free? Or
No, they were
they all
buying them.
paid. They all paid.
Oh,
yes.
they're companies he worked for or whatever.
Yes, all except one.
So were there very many companies specialising in GRP, or was Peel really quite ahead of its time?
He was ahead of his time.
So it's really good to know.
In the very beginning, he was well ahead of his time.
Yes,
Yeah.
always. Yeah.
I think he went to America.
Did he?
Yeah. After he finished in the war, as far as I know,
He was in the RAF, wasn't he?
He was a fighter pilot, wasn't
Yeah.
he? In the RAF. And I think when after he come out of that, and his family had the ferries, didn't they?
Yes, in Douglas.
In Douglas going across the harbour, and he sort of took over that, and when that died off, as far as I know, he went to America because he'd heard of this fiberglass, and he went and found out about it and came back, and then I think he passed them in what to do with it. You know, he was well ahead.
So yes, good, yeah.
You
Real
weren't
pioneer
allowed to
then.
say fiberglass because that was a registered American. It had to be glass fibre.
Didn't they test a hovercraft in Peel?
No,
Oh, no.
but what Cyril told me, and you might know, you may not even know this. I don't know. It was like when he was on his last legs and he's going to sit and talk to him. That at one time Ford Motor Company sent a representative over to see him, and he'd been building the whatever it is, car bodies at the time, you know, fiberglass car bodies fitted on Fords and things. And they wanted him to produce fiberglass bodies, sports bodies for Ford. Well, Ford was going to use them on their cars, if you want. But it was quite a big job, quite a big, serious thing. And he went to the government here to see if he could get some money to improve the factory and things. And they turned him down, so he couldn't do the job other than that. But yeah, Ford had heard of him and wanted him.
But Ford never followed up themselves with anyone
No,
else.
they didn't know. No.
Opportunity lost.
We've still got complaints about the government, haven't we?
Nothing changed.
No, nothing has changed.
When the factory closed, you were telling me that about the moles what happened to the moulds?
Well, we thought they were all buried, but
yeah.
somebody said that they
Somebody took them to bury them and obviously didn't.
didn't, and they've re-emerged, haven't they?
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yes. So I
What gave
don't
him the
know.
inspiration to build these little cars then?
Pardon?
What gave him the inspiration to build these little cars?
Well, he was always making little models of things, wasn't he?
Yeah. We never knew what he was up to, did we?
All day long he would be sitting in his office on his own with moulds and just he lived with his mother, so he had no sort of outside hobbies, did he?
No.
He didn't play bowls, he didn't,
He did have a girlfriend at one stage, didn't he?
did he? Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know.
didn't you know?
No, I didn't know. It's coming out now. Who was
yeah.
it?
I can't think of her name now. She lived in, I know where she lived, the house she lived in Onken, because it was next door to my wife.
Oh,
Mother, you know.
yeah.
Yeah. But,
Oh,
I
we
think,
didn't.
but because he wouldn't leave his mother, I think she gave up on him.
Yes.
If you could sum it up in a few words, what was the best part of Peel Engineering working there?
Oh, the staff.
The staff.
And excitement. You never know what was going to happen from one day to the next.
No, you didn't, did you?
No.
You know,
Did you have good
And
morale?
there'd be one disaster after another with them.
you come in the morning and you'd produce a bit of paper and that. Oh, what's this we're doing today? You know.
Yeah.
And very often you only knew what you were making. You didn't know what it was going to finish up at. You know.
It was wonderful to see the windscreens being moulded for the first time, though. I thought that was exciting.
Yeah, the bubbles.
So they were made here as well?
Yes, the
Peel
bubbles.
domes?
He
Wow.
designed that with George Gellin, didn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
And it was really exciting to see that first time, to see it actually sort of melting and going.
Yeah, the
Quite a-
Perspex
quite a complex.
manufacturers came over to have a look, didn't
Yes,
they?
yeah.
Because they couldn't believe it. They were able to do this.
Is it
The
right
first
that
time
they
they had
used
blown buttons
electric
on
bucket elements?
Not the
Did they
store,
use
but, you know,
electric
so they
cooker
could use them
elements
on
to heat them up?
motorcycle
Probably.
fares.
I didn't go into the technical side. I just thought it was exciting just seeing it formed right in front of your eyes, and then all those little plastic balls, little tiny things, and they all moulded together and made a shape.
Oh yeah.
That was exciting too, wasn't it? Probably wouldn't be exciting to people today, but in those days it was all
It was a bit
so
ahead
new.
of its time, wasn't
Yes, it was
really
ahead
was,
of the time.
Because they must have used similar technology for the old war aircraft to make the domes and the bubbles for that. So the technology must have already been there, but not reapplied for anything else.
Yeah, I don't know whether the aircraft was plastic or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Perspex, whether they could have blown on just a little bubble. I don't
Yeah.
know. You know.
What gave you the inspiration for the hovercraft?
He just tried everything,
Well,
Kiri.
yeah,
Everything.
It was something new, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because he wasn't credited with inventing the hovercraft, and yet you were driving the hovercraft before the records say that a woman drove the hovercraft.
Wasn't Valerie Singleton? It was written as the first woman to have driven a.
But that was years after you'd.
Yeah.
No, we can't believe anything BBC says, can
But it's in the Guinness Book of Records, and I think we need to get that record changed.
Leave
Yes,
that
I
with
do.
me.
I do think we need to
I
get that
wouldn't-
changed.
I wouldn't challenge the Guinness Book of Records.
I think we need to put you on the wall of fame.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Next year we can come
Is there
back
any
and celebrate.
scandals you can tell us about that happened in the factory? You know, a bit of-
Any scandals? Was there any scandals?
Any juicy bits?
You won't end up in prison.
Our lips are sealed, aren't they?
What about Christmas parties? Did you have Christmas
No.
parties?
No, nothing about that.
Nothing like that.
Did you have your own socials as a working team?
No, nobody met outside, did they?
Eh?
Nobody met outside for social occasions. No.
never even thought about it.
No. That's only a modern thing, isn't it? Everybody going
Yeah,
to work.
I got that.
You didn't even have a do when you left, did
No,
you?
no.
I hear of retirement parties now, and it's costing the girl who's retiring 500 or 600 pounds just to put on a luddish for the office girls. No, there's nothing like that, is there?
Well, he must have thought something about you if he offered you a car or a boat.
No pension.
No, oh, no.
Didn't he have lots of things that he was selling as tourist material as well? Weren't you making stuff for selling for tourists?
No, only no.
Just the hats? Was it just the Viking
Viking
helmets?
helmets. He made lots of money on the go-karts up at Onkenhead, didn't he?
Yeah.
Monday morning, he would come in with bags and bags of cash that were all had to be counted and sorted. That was a really good.
That was the head Uncle Stadium.
Yeah, people loved the go-karts up there.
Are any of them around still, the go-karts?
Pardon?
Do we have any of the go-karts and Viking helmets still surviving anywhere?
I've got a Viking helmet.
You've got a
Viking
Viking helmet,
helmets about.
but none of the go-karts
No.
survive.
No, I don't
That's a
think
real
so.
shame. It sounded like you made quite a few.
Yeah. And they had canoes up there as well, didn't they? That made some money.
Did they have canoes? I
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Mm.
You have boats on the heated water over here as well.
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah. Little electric
Yeah.
Yeah.
boats.
Yeah. Yes, he tried hard, didn't he?
Yeah.
What did you think, Ernie, to the DKW engines? What was your thoughts on those? Did you have many problems with them?
We didn't have any problems with them, no.
Well, not you, but I heard stories that it would have been better with a Triumph Tina engine in.
Well, we have
No,
to
it's
do one of
okay.
the other lines. Tina was a few years after.
Yeah, talking to George, you were telling me.
Yeah, Tina was a good thing. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
brilliant. But,
Yeah.
and that cracked on as well. You know.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that they had a lot of comebacks with the engines packing up
You
and
did.
they had to replace the engines?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And that cost the company a lot of money.
Thank that's what brought it to the
Brought it to
end,
its
really.
knees. Yeah.
How
That's
did
just
you
very
all,
sad.
sorry, how did you all come over on the boat? Did you drive your little cars over?
I took a trailer.
I was wondering
I've
how,
come from the middle of England. So
I was worrying about the steam packet.
It doesn't go too well on the M6. You know.
No. That's what I was
If you
wondering.
pay the steam packet enough money, they'll take anything. So
Yeah.
they'll gladly take it.
We always sent them away in crates, didn't we?
Yeah.
Big wooden crates.
Yeah, except there was a load of Tridents went on the boat direct, didn't there?
Yeah,
they,
well, yeah.
they
Photo.
put them on low loaders and drove them in.
Yeah.
Some people have put them in vans and bought them in vans and
Mm.
stuff over the weekend.
Yeah.
I don't think many people have driven them.
No. Would have been a sight on the Manx boat, wouldn't it?
We'd still be getting
So
them.
modern and all. So modern and yet so.
Anybody got any more questions? I think this young lady needs a nice cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah? We call it a wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you very
much.